What do you think happens to tennis landscape if this guy, of all people, this guy, Lo Hlupaso, Lo's always outspoken, basically the bad boy of tennis at the moment, if he wins it, what does that mean for tennis?
In the words of Alfred, some men just want to see the world burn, and I want to see it, Chuck.
You also want to see it.
I want to see it. I want to see it because this is the prim and proper sport. This is Wimbledon. This is where you wear the all whites. This is SW19, the place of the strawberries and the cream and the decorum and the lasting vestiges of like the gentlemen's and ladies game, you know, where the crowd is not supposed to say anything when we're serving. It's just so well maintained. The hedges are well trimmed. There's the white picket fence, you know. And here comes a comet wanting to destabilize that landscape. And I just want to see how tennis is going to react. But for tennis, it would be terrible. It would absolutely be terrible for tennis because as well, maybe if he wins the US Open, you know, I don't know, it's because like in my head, like I think of America as more like bravado or braggadocious,
and more accepting of the outspoken characters.
And we've seen incidents at the US Open. I remember like the Serena Williams thing.
The US Open, né?
There was the US Open.
Would have been much bigger if it happened at Wimbledon, né?
It would have been
with the line judge and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so it would be terrible for tennis because I think about Nick Kyrgios, and I when I was watching him, when I've been watching him now at Wimbledon, I was thinking about John McEnroe, right? John McEnroe is infamous for "Are you serious? You've got to be kidding me!" You know, he also had those every single match. He had a temper tantrum. He was nicknamed the problem child. But the thing about John McEnroe has 7 Grand Slam titles in his pocket, and when he's spoken about his career and when others have spoken about his career as well, they've said even with 7 Grand Slam titles, he probably should have won more. Because before Roger Federer came along, John McEnroe is the guy in the last however many years who was thought to be the most talented to grace a tennis court, you know. So John McEnroe was irritating, but he was also a winner. He was also a great player, also a great doubles player, spent a lot of time at number 1, and as I'm saying, he's got like 70 plus like career titles, you know. Whereas with Nick Kyrgios, it feels like he just comes out there to do this. That's his motivation, to get on TV and to then get on everyone's nerves.
When you look at sports and the idea of Wimbledon, and you look at Test cricket and the prim and proper idea, it's not what the world is like.
No, it isn't.
Will we not benefit from someone who is quote unquote real in there, like someone who's keeping it real in the tennis court? Because this is what this guy is like, and you know you don't want to subdue him for the sake of we're playing tennis. And don't you think that tennis gains more fans because it's more realistic? Because Max Verstappen was this careless driver who was just driving on the edge, always on the verge of an accident. But I don't know if he's toned it down a bit. But we're more accepting of who Max is and his driving style now. We're a driver, he's a competitor. Do you not think there's a place for Nick Kyrgios with him being like this?
I love how you brought up Max because on the race on the weekend, Max had damage to his car, right? He gets on the radio. What he says to his team is that the car is 100% broken.
Everything is left out, basically.
He's still running in the top 10, top 7 at the time, and then his engineers, his mechanics come back and they tell him that, oh no, this is what the issue is. And I'm like, this guy already diagnosed the car to be completely. He said, I quote, like he said, 100% broken. And every time you hear Max on the radio, he's dropping f-bombs with F1 radio. It's staggered, so the sound is staggered, so they get to bleep out because they know these are the things that happen. Whereas in tennis, they've not figured that as yet. They go live on Kyrgios, and then they pick that up, and then the commentators have to apologize on his behalf. But I don't think the world is filled with Nick Kyrgios. I think there are people like that, but you know what? For the story, and I describe sport as like a story. We are all watching a television show like play out, you know. And one of the intriguing plot points in any show is like you must have bad guys, you know, and you must have good trying to overcome evil. And this is also actually now that I said that, what Tsitsipas said about him. He said he's pure evil. He said Kyrgios is evil. So you've got the
he needs
like,
to win it then. If he's pure evil, he needs to claim it.
you want to see evil triumph over? Good.
Then it's ultimate battle of course they got the gauntlet. Now they have to fight to get the Infinity Gauntlet from him, because I look back to people like Mario Balotelli. I didn't like Mario Balotelli, but he was such a character.
It's entertaining.
He brought so many eyes to Manchester City, because other than that, who was really looking out for City, other than the fact that they won the title. And then there are other characters, Boma, John McEnroe, as you said. These people are good for entertainment. And also, I think more realistically to what sports is like, I like rugby because we obey the rules, we respect the referee, but from time to time it's one marching because things really low, you know. That's more realistic to how the game is played, where as with tennis you smash a racket and then the whole crowd is like, oh, and guys, the Muntu Kwatile, he's losing, what do you expect? You know, it's not the correct way to behave, but let's expect these things because this is who people are outside, and not the majority of them, but this is who people are outside. So I want to see it happen just so that someone can get the Infinity Gauntlet back.
I want to see it from that standpoint as well. That how is the world going to react? You know,
might he even change and be a bit more humble, a bit more put together when he suddenly understands that there is more responsibility with being a champion? Because right now he's a loose cannon with nothing to lose, not really too many sponsorships or an image to uphold. Because now if you're put on a pedestal as champion, you are somewhat, whether you want it or not.
He's gonna be worse.